It's completely dumbfounding how a team who convincingly won the Super Bowl last year in their own stadium would suddenly be dead last in their division. How does a team accomplish such a decline? How did the fall happen so fast? How come the Los Angeles Rams suck? Here's what we're thinking. The most obvious and glaring place to look is the fact that there's no tangible threat in the running game. The Rams started the season with running back Cam Akers, who proved himself worthy of a starting job in the offseason, only to be yanked after a miserable 3 carries for 0 yards. The Akers performance would be classified as a one-off, a solo-time thing, a fluke, but it in fact foreshadowed what would be the most inept rushing attack in the entire NFL. Let's not forget this is a Super Bowl winning team with the same coach in Sean McVay and virtually the same players. They still got trounced on opening night at home against the team in the Buffalo Bills, who are considered challengers for the grand prize. But back to the run game. Logic dictates if one running back doesn't work, the other might, especially if it's all reliable Darrell Henderson. Henderson had 13 attempts in that first game, only getting 47 yards, which are below average in terms of yards per carry. Now you might think, like everyone in the world did, that the Rams would figure out their running offense and the run game would be back on track. In the 9 games the Rams have played, only twice have they reached over 100 yards on the ground. Just to put things into perspective, the team with the worst record in the league, the Houston Texans, who only have 1 win, have more rushing yards on the ground than the Rams. In the Texans' 8 games, they've managed to gain over 100 yards of rushing offense in 5 games. And everyone knows they are going to run the ball. The problem with the LA Rams is that everyone expects them to throw the ball because there is no run game as a threat. The receivers are not being used as run outlets efficiently. The running back by committee strategy is not working because no one is a serious threat on the ground. And the Rams find themselves with a predictable offense that defenses can easily prevent from scoring multiple touchdowns, even with the likes of wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who is the only real weapon the Rams have. Which leads us to another reason why the Rams are sucking this year. They are missing Odell Beckham Jr. He would have been the target that the Rams could use to direct the attention away from their star receiver Cooper Kupp. But I hear you want us to mention Allen Robinson and how he was supposed to fill that OBJ hole in the receiving offense. Truth is, Robinson has only been targeted 5 times a game. In 60 minutes of football, he only sees 5 passes that come his way. This is a player that should be receiving close to 10 targets per game given his ability and skill, but the Rams are not finding him. The only logical explanation could be that Robinson doesn't have that instinctual connection with quarterback Matthew Stafford, or Robinson is plagued by the problem that the Rams are lacking not just the weapons on the offensive side of the ball, but also they're being deprived of the creativity which their former offensive coordinator brought to the table. I am, of course, talking about our most mentioned name on our channel, current head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell. Now, this might be the biggest loss for the Rams, losing the man who engineered, planned, and made their offense into Super Bowl champions. It doesn't take a seasoned architect to figure out that losing the man who orchestrated such a well-oiled machine that the next man up for the job, Liam Cohen, would be costly. Because everyone who takes a position wants to have their stamp. They want to mark their territory. It's the animal instinct of a coach and ego that wants to make us aware that the unit that the world is witnessing is their making. Well, Liam Cohen somehow manages to take a Super Bowl winning offense and turn it into a team that has 3 wins off of 9 games. It is baffling to the mind how one man in charge can cause a total collapse of an entire offense. Then again, the players have to be held accountable too. Darrell Henderson is a pro, but putting up mediocre numbers, not worthy of discussion. We will highlight them just to reveal the sheer meh-ness of his production. Only once has he crossed the 50-yard mark on the ground, but then again, he hasn't been given the opportunity. It all goes back to head coach Sean McVay's complete lack of faith in the running game. McVay's philosophy and attitude of ignoring the run game had its effect on the team, to the point where the perennial starter for the Rams at the running back position, Cam Akers, requested a trade. Akers knows he can do more and wants a fresh start somewhere else, and the Rams were willing to listen to offers. But as the trade deadline approached, there was no sign that Akers was moving, and yet plenty of rumors that the team was going to acquire another star running back who was also feeling unsettled. The player in question was running back Kareem Hunt of the Cleveland Browns. Hunt, like many other athletes before him, wanted out of Cleveland in the offseason, but the Browns front office refused to abide by his wishes. Hunt buckled down and produced some stellar performances, notably on opening day where he scored 2 touchdowns as the number 2 running back. Had the Rams pulled the trigger to acquire Hunt, they would have gotten the threat they so desperately needed. The Rams general manager, Les Snead, refused to give up a 4th-round draft pick. So you have to wonder why the Rams didn't land a prized running back that would have solved most of their offensive struggles and added some firepower to their somewhat light arsenal. You have to question their motivation, their ambition, and their desire. By not going after Hunt or any other running back, are they going all in on Matthew Stafford, who is a quarterback with a lengthy injury history, and Cooper Kupp, who recently suffered an ankle injury? It seems like the Rams are digging up from under their bed with the white flag and dusting off the casing that it's in. They haven't quite waved it yet, but they are giving us the impression that it's coming. Although it shouldn't be the case, looking at the playoff picture, the Rams are only a couple of games back from a wild card spot and only 3 behind division leaders, the Seattle Seahawks. They can still turn this mess around, especially in a sport where every microscopic incident can alter the course of an entire game. If the Rams really want to go for it and make the playoffs this season, Sean McVay has to have a heavier role calling the offensive plays. He has to bring his creativity and motivate his players to perform their utmost best in every single snap. They need to establish the run, and if it's by a committee of 4 or 5 running backs, so be it. Otherwise, they will end up with a losing record, which will reflect poorly on the staff and the players. It will make it seem that their Super Bowl winning campaign was a series of fortunate circumstances. But to snap back to actuality, the team that Coach McVay is putting out should be dead last in their division, and they should feel embarrassed that a team with the likes of the Arizona Cardinals, who have problems of their own, on the offensive side are ahead of them. They should feel ashamed that the Seattle Seahawks, who everyone thought they would finish dead bottom, are soaring by them high in the division. And they should feel somewhat foolish for not going after running back Christian McCaffrey, who is now with their bitter San Francisco 49ers. There's a lot to unpack in this mess, a lot of clutter and disasters that could have been avoided had the Super Bowl honeymoon not lingered in the opening weeks of the season. There were some organizational complacencies, such as not sorting out the running game and then in mid-season not solving the issues. Some players and staff members are not fitting in, and the head coach seems to be in over his head. It is definitely a season where lessons are to be learned from the Rams. If they do decide to wave that white flag, then they should do it with their division leader, the Seattle Seahawks, is doing, and let the rookies play. It's probably the best course of action, unless the decision to make that playoff push. But as things stand, the Rams suck. Do you think the Rams should end their season? Should they push for the playoffs? Please let us know in the comments below. But before you go, if you still want to watch some awesome NFL content like this, go ahead and watch the next video that will pop on your screen.